years, most people with a spinal cord injury heard the same script. Nothing more can be done. Get used to the wheelchair. The spinal cord was treated as a terminal organ. Once damaged, that was the end of the story. Today, that idea is cracking, and one of the companies driving that change is Onward Medical. Onward grew out of two leading research teams in Europe and the US that spent decades showing that spinal circuits can still be switched back on years after injury. They've turned that science into three key technologies: an external stim device, an implant, and a brain-spine interface. First up, ARC-EX, the external system for arm and hand function. It uses sticky pads on the back of the neck to send carefully timed pulses into the spinal cord. Damage in the cord makes brain signals fade out before they reach the muscles. ARC-EX primes the cord, so more of your own signal gets through. Think of it as a signal amplifier. It boosts weak messages already leaking past the injury, rather than creating movement from nothing. In Onward's main trial for ARC-EX, with people who had long-standing incomplete cervical injuries, about 90% saw a meaningful improvement in at least one measure of arm or hand strength or function. For a group long told, this is as good as you'll get, that is a huge shift. ARC-EX has now cleared major regulators in the US and Europe and is starting to roll out into clinics. Next is ARC-IM, the implant. ARC-IM is a surgically implanted stimulator with leads near the spinal cord. By sending patterned pulses to specific segments, it can help generate stepping and, when targeted differently, stabilize blood pressure. One striking example is a man with so-called complete paraplegia who, after implantation and intensive rehab, can now stand and walk with a frame using pre-programmed stimulation patterns he triggers with a controller. He is not strolling to the shop unaided, but his progress blows up the old idea that complete equals no potential. There are catches. For movement, ARC-IM needs a working engine in the lower spinal cord. If the lumbosacral cord is destroyed, there may be little left to stimulate. And for now, ARC-IM is only available inside carefully controlled clinical trials. Now for the brain-spine bridge. Onward's ARC-BCI system uses a device called WIMAGINE, a brain implant that sits on top of the brain's protective membrane and listens to activity from the surface. In trials, WIMAGINE picks up the walk command from the brain, decodes it in real time, and sends instructions to the spinal stimulator. The person's thoughts steer the stimulation that drives their legs: brain, interface, spinal cord, movement. All of this hardware has revealed something big about biology. Inside the lower spinal cord are built-in walking networks called central pattern generators. Onward-linked research has shown that these circuits can be reactivated and retrained years after injury. They are not dead, they are dormant. In some people, months of stimulation plus intensive rehab led to the return of some voluntary movement, even with the stimulator switched off, suggesting nerve fibers had rerouted and strengthened around the injury. It is not just about movement. Many people with spinal cord injury live with low blood pressure, dizziness, and constant brain fog. By targeting a hemodynamic hotspot over the lower thoracic cord, ARC-IM style stimulation can stabilize blood pressure. In trials, people described it as like having a fog lifted from their brain. So where are we now? We do not have a cure, and these devices are not yet available to everyone. Injury level, completeness, access, and cost still matter. But for the first time, we have an authorized, non-invasive therapy for chronic arm and hand function. Implants in trials helping people stand, step, and stabilize their blood pressure. And brain-spine interfaces proving that thoughts can once again drive movement. Clinical nihilism is dead. The spinal cord is not a terminal organ. The question is no longer if anything can be done for chronic paralysis, but when these tools will reach more of us. If you want deeper dives into the science, the trials, and the real-world limits, hit subscribe and like, and stick around. This channel is here to follow every step of that journey.